One thing I'm always afraid of when I'm shooting these videos is, am I in focus? Has the camera moved? Because the camera's at an angle, so it's on a little tripod. And sometimes when I'm looking at the screen, I can see more stuff has appeared in the background than it shouldn't appear. So I'm always really worried about how I'm coming across, because you're trying to look at yourself in the screen here and you're trying to look down the lens, and it doesn't always work out, you know. I mean, the videos are very much a work in progress. I tend to grow with the channel, and I don't mind that. I don't mind the little amateur at times. Some of my media friends have commented on that, like, oh, the sound's a little bit off there, or you get a better lighting by this way. You don't look like you've been, 10 years on a beach in the tropics in some lighting, and you don't look like, 10 years in an igloo in the Arctic in other videos. It's all part of the learning curve. The most important thing is the information, obviously. Doesn't matter if I look like a clown in some videos, as long as you get the information out, it's grand. I will grow with this channel. I would say a couple of months, it'll look like something out of Hollywood. I'm optimistic. Worst case scenario, we'll have sound. Guys, I'm back. Proofreader, editor, formatter, thesis pervert. What I'm going to show you is me proofreading and editing, and showing you how to inject a little bit of a flow into your text. Okay, there's always going to be some worry when you do a video on proofreading and editing, and when you're doing it live. As a proofreader and editor, there's a lot of expectation of everything 100% correct. That's understandable. Does that work out live on camera? No. And I think there's no greater compliment you can pay me than to not write anything in the comments that I missed something. Now, sometimes, like these half-hearted promises we make children to keep them engaged, to make sure they keep watching or listening to us. I'm now going to show you how to do some live proofreading and editing. I'm going to, the patented Dr. Bill tips on this thing. I'm going to be focused on flow, but there is going to be some spelling, punctuation and grammar meddling as well. Now, we'll be doing this live. So I am putting myself out there and saying to well, when I say live, I mean I'm going to be doing it publicly. So what that means is someone is going to write a comment in the video saying, do you know what, you left a comment out there, or that should be capitalized, or, well, actually, I think this is the better way to do that. That's fine. That's no problem. We all make mistakes. And especially if you're doing anything proofreading and editing, there's the first sweep you do on the proofread and edit, and then there's the second sweep, and then there's the third and the fourth until you get it perfect. I'm not going to do a second or third or fourth sweep on this. I'm just going to go raw. I'm going to show you how to do the flow, how to do the spelling, punctuation, grammar. I'm going to pad this video out, basically. Okay, so this is going to be the live proofreading, editing, flow, referencing, fix-up. We can see here from the slide exercise 1, we have 3 paragraphs on what we're going to look at. And I'm going to basically proof and edit that for the next minute or so. And then when we come back, we're going to look at the flow of it and how to fix the flow. So I'm going to be looking away from the camera for a lot of this, but don't worry, I'll still be here. So yeah, so let's have a look through this and let's see what we can fix. So I'm just going to pull the laptop a little bit closer. Now, okay. So first things first, electrical. Okay, that's supposed to be electoral, I presume, because it's a political piece. Blah, 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 there. Okay, so that should be there. There's no other choices available. Under Putin's regime, there has been, okay, look, most of this is pretty simple, straightforward, but it is the most common stuff you would check for when you are proofreading and editing. What else is there now? Ensure. Well, ensure is a big one. I'm sure they weren't looking to ensure, but ensure. So that's that one fixed. Quotes begin, blah blah blah. There's another bean. My competition is watching this now, thinking, just wait for him to slip up. We'll swoop right in there. And even my enemies, and even my rival academics, they're just waiting for me to mess up at some point. But I won't mess up. I'll try my best. Quotas, no? Quotas. There's something, okay. Okay, yeah. Quotas. Very careful. Quotas and quotes, quite similar. Where am I? This is as exciting as proofreading and editing gets. Maybe I will speed this up and put some jazzy music over it. Fairness and freedom of election in Russia by creating situations. Okay, where fewer parties. Okay, that should be. Put an L comma there, and that should be H. Fewer parties are able to compete in election, and the implantation. That's a very common one. Implementation. Let's just make that implementation of new electoral rules gave United Russia a greater chance of winning dominance control. Well, dominance is okay there. Well, dominance and control, they're the same. They are different. But I think dominance is what this essay is going for, because it's talking about an electoral system. So there will be a winner. So dominance is better there. Did I miss anything? Look, if I miss something, just realize that the camera is on me and I'm stuck for time. There's something here. Okay, that should be indented, because that's the... usually the first paragraph is not indented. It depends on the style. So, just check with your guidebook on that. Scrolling down. Okay, I can definitely see some stuff where flow can be improved in this, so we'll come to that eventually. That should be where. So a lot of the times Microsoft Word will flag some of this stuff here. It's not perfect, Grammarly will pick some stuff as well, but as a proofreader and editor, sometimes it's best to have a human do it. Okay, so that should be, okay, fair, yeah, that's grand. Actually, that's a good one. Is fair anywhere else spelt differently? So usually when you have a word that sounds the same but it's written differently, just check for that, and that should be 2, obviously, due to the heavy influence the Kremlin support given to United Russia Party. And then is there anything in the last paragraph we can look at here? Okay, well, look, a big obvious one here is this is a colon and this is PG or well, there's no such thing as PG. It should be P, but that's not the issue. The issue is why there's 2 different ones here. So if it's a colon, this should be a colon. So let's just say, for the sake of it, we're just going to make that a colon. Checking back over everything. That has a comma. That has a comma. That has a comma. That has a comma. So that's okay. So everything has a comma. If one of them didn't have a comma, you'd put the comma in there. The political structure. Far from fair, free, and the support given to United Russian Party. Well, given. That's a big one. So that's why it's always good to not just, when you're proofreading anything, just to go page 1 to 50 or whatever many pages are. Go back over, because you're always going to miss something, because your brain will always fill in what it thinks is the right answer, and then your brain will sort of trick you into thinking, well, given sounds the same, so it's okay, but it wasn't okay. It should be given there. I saw something there when I was going through about choose. I can't seem to find where it is now. The fact that there was multiple candidates where multiple candidates and parties that an individual can choose from, so that should be that, showed a measure of potential towards setting up fair elections in Russia, one with the views of the people taken into consideration. The election was far from fair or free due to the heavy influence of the Kremlin on the support given to the United Russian Party. Okay. For the sake of what time we're at? 6:15. Okay. For the sake of a short video, I'm going to say that's enough proofreading and editing for the moment. So the most important thing now to look at is the flow of it. Okay, so hopefully everyone is still awake after my proofreading and editing exercise. I'm going to look at flow, signposting, reader engagement. I'm also going to look at referencing, because one thing I noticed when I was proofreading and editing it was the overuse of Murphy 2000. Murphy 2000, Murphy 2000. Now that's a frequent thing people do when they think, well, I better mention Murphy before I'm done for plagiarism. That's not technically plagiarism. Like that's over referencing. So I would say you could get rid of two of those references. And how you could do that is you make sure that the flow shows that the sentence and the line of thought is continuing on. Therefore, Murphy's argument on line of thought has been continued on. So if I was to look at that paragraph there and I was to say to myself, how am I going to make this better in terms of flow? Well, I'd look at it first of all and see the year when the party was set up. So what was that year? So that the year there is a bit tricky because it should be the actual year. So given the thing, I would say okay, so we could do something like this to begin this analysis. Begin this analysis of how fair and free elections in Russia have been. See, the lack of dates or no, dating in this thing is an issue. 89, so I don't know the exact date, but it was definitely the early 90s when after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of communist Soviet Union. So I'm going to say the early 90s, 93, 94 maybe, I think is the date that should be there. So to begin this analysis of how fair and free election Russia have been since the early 90s. Okay, not this. It is relevant to start with the rise of the United Russian Party. Okay, so United Russia Party. Okay, so what you're doing there is that's a nice little signpost. You're kind of saying, okay, I'm going to begin this analysis by looking at this. And what you're looking at is what's going to follow in that paragraph. So the year when the United Russia Party was set up. So I presume that's Vladimir Putin's party. So you're talking maybe, I'm pretty sure that was the beginning of the millennium. So maybe 99 or 2000. So if you want to pop that in here, because sometimes given a vague, the year, it's best to put in the actual year itself. So that's a nice little introductory sentence that helps with the flow there, and it helps bridge the two paragraphs. So how fair and free elections in Russia have been, well, that was something we mentioned up here in the other paragraph, so that's a nice little link between the two paragraphs. So you're dragging the next paragraph you're dragging the previous paragraph into the next paragraph. So the important thing here now is the Murphy 2000s. So how would you get rid of them? Well, let me just see now. The year and the blah blah blah. The fact that there were multiple candidates parties. Well, look, there's a clear one you can get rid of because it's still part of the sentence. Okay. This election was far from free of blah 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 and gives support to United Russian Party. Okay. Well, that's kind of saying what's already happening already, so you don't need to maybe mention it again. So. Or if you do want to mention it again, it doesn't need the Murphy because that's already, you've established as well that is a point of view of someone else. or a scholarly point of view for to sound better there. The next paragraph here, the political structure was being unfavourable for the opposition of any kind. The most recent institutional change So, what's institutional change? Okay, well that's another. Still proofreading. Aiming to diminish blah blah. Okay, well that's another bit of proofreading as well. So this is why it's good to go a few different things. So single inverted comma, double inverted comma. Just choose one. So that should be single there. Now, is there a way of bridging this better in terms of flow? Well, we've mentioned Murphy, so we might as well mention them again. So the work of Murphy highlights the Russian political structure. Yeah, that sounds okay. Highlights the Russian political structure for the opposition, because that's what it's all about. Opposition as being unfavourable. Work of Murphy highlights the Russian political structure for the opposition as being unfavourable. Unfavourable to such opposition. Okay, to any opposition. No, let's get rid of that. Most recent. This can be seen in the most recent institutional change adopted by the Russian Parliament in 2005. Perfect. Okay, so you're doing nothing. You're adding nothing yourself. You're kind of summarizing what the main argument of the scholarly argument is, but you're also doing the work of the flow. So you've bridged the paragraph. You mentioned Murphy. Murphy's going to be in the next paragraph, but we're going to move into someone else called McAllister. So that's flow in overall terms of how to move between the paragraphs. Now there's other little bits and pieces you can do in terms of, you can put in however, as such, like, so where can we see one here we can put in? There probably isn't going to be one. Under Putin should be better. There should be a comma there. There have been various methods employed to reduce opposition to sure. Unlike classical, there's no there's been various methods employed to reduce opposition and to ensure lack of strength in numbers, legitimacy, and the methods used. Okay, well that's probably too long a sentence. You can probably say the methods used were high membership quotas and high level of inscripts. And then, oh yeah, okay, so here's a good way. So the word indeed, the method of membership quotas have been described as where the blah 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 has where the. Okay, so that's perfect. So that's a very slight within the paragraph use of flow. So the word indeed there really does help that. So that's one example of, or three examples rather, of how to improve the flow in that particular exercise. I hate doing this, I really do. I've produced nothing that requires you to subscribe and like me. I think it's something you do down the line, isn't it? But still, look, I mean, it doesn't help, or it doesn't hurt to do it. I would very much love a like and some love and some comments and some subscriptions. Whatever you can offer me, I'm very happy to take it. Criticism, you can downvote the video all you want. I'll still love you. Academic, non-academic, team up, take me down. Whatever it takes, just leave a like, just leave a subscription, just subscribe. There's a bell somewhere, you're supposed to ring a bell. Ring that bell.